I think back with the concept of creating confusion, chaos.
Yes.
There's too much chaos in filmmaking. We need some kind of trust and tangible things, and film like 60mm or 35mm definitely is, something that you can count on. Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful, and I agree. I mean, again, I'm a filmmaker myself, but I've never worked in film, never had the money. But I think a lot of filmmakers appreciate what you're saying, the energy that it brings, the tangibility of it, but also the concentration from the whole crew. Now, I think what you're saying, like creating a film is not only creating the film, but creating the whole process around it and having a team. And I recently shot a one-shot, which is something different, but I felt a little bit this feeling of like the whole team is a bit tense, because it's not like, okay, another take. It's like, no, we don't have that many takes, because every take is, it's either expensive because you're shooting in film, or like it's a lot of work, so like, don't fuck it up, So I think it's super fascinating. And what about the final product? So obviously this was a process, but for you, like visually, what do you feel you gained from film or not?
Yeah, it's different, totally different. With digital, of course you can get noises, still, but as you know, it's just a tiny pixels, like box, very, very, pattern, like squares. Nothing, no chaotic portrayal of image. With the film, you get this, chaos with the green, especially in highlight in the darker area, which creates something very, very organic that helps to bring some kind of more imagination for the audience. I think that's the most important, at least from my experience watching films on shot on celluloid. But the best thing is, I still really, if there are some opportunity to watch on 35mm projection, it's the best. It's just different. It's just different. Maybe because I'm used to it, that era. It's not nostalgic, but it's just different. Yeah.
Just for the sake of entertainment, I mean, as well, of course, but not only. There's other layers in your films that are, socially critical. I mean, with Sleep No More, obviously, there's a critique on capitalism, exploitation, and yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of times we do speak about how horror films do have this layer of being socially critical. I think sometimes we exaggerate it. I think certain films, actually, maybe you can read between the lines, but it's like, wow, it's also just fun and entertainment, and it's okay. But I feel in your film it's very clear. How do you feel you balance like everything that we've been talking about, a bit of like the dark comedy and the light scenes with the horror and fear, but then also with all this like social critique?
I feel like I don't really do a consciously try to balance it. It's I try to, yes, there are some kind of tools which we can say from the genre aspect that you can play around, explore it, but there's also strong instinct as well that are useful to be followed, I guess. Because at the end of the day, mixing different genre can be also dangerous. That can lead to something confusing. Yes, but I think if I have some kind of something that to hold on with his instinct and the cultural references, it helps. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think I have the answer of how to do the balancing part, because technically it's just a lot of editing in the script and also in post production. Technically, it's just you always keep questioning and trying to move around this bit and asking a lot if this thing is too much or not. Yeah, just normal process.
And especially nowadays as well, and if that changed, or if you still see the potential in that, and in not maybe making socially totally realistic films to transport these messages. Thank you.
So yeah, so why genre? Why horror? Who's the monster? Why is this a good way of doing a political critique? Instead of maybe doing something that is way more realistic and maybe showing more like having a drama.
I think if I have to rewind the process, I will still do this film with this kind of approach. I think the genre, the horror, is perfect for the situation right now in Indonesia, where everything is so terrible. I would say it's a lot of things in our everyday life can be more scary rather than the horror, like the PABRIK films, for example. So to tell the statement or the thoughts that are, I think maybe it's too serious to share with realistic approach, for example, then I would love to bring this conversation through form that is more entertaining or fun to start with, to begin with. Even I think it's better even if it's more dreamy rather than straight to the point on the statement itself, because nowadays I think people are too tired, I guess, with a lot of news on difficult times everywhere in the world, and movies as usual in the difficult times always has kind of escapism. So that we also want to be in different world, but still connected to our contemporary problems. So it's not like direct mirror, but subconsciously you can reflect on it. Yeah, we are working with the monster. We are creating the monster together in the whole process of filmmaking. We're creating from an image, from a memory that are usually came from our subconscious level, our fear, our trauma. Then I would say we are dealing with our monster. So yeah, that's what I got from this, the context of dealing with the monster.
Absolutely, I think that was exactly what we were speaking about. And Hanna also saying at the end, the monsters is us, right? We are the monster, in a wide sense. Like we as a society, we as and there are personal fears that become violent, or of this different range. So I think I think what you were saying, Edwin, really summarizes the question for that, or the answer to that question, which is maybe this is why we need film. Maybe this is why we use these genres to address those topics, because the empathy for through the genre, through the magic of cinema, we are finding a distance to certain topics because it's entertainment, because it creates emotions, but at the same time, that distance makes us reflect on ourselves, and that's like maybe what we bring out of the cinema, and like the compassion and the empathy is towards ourselves, and to find in the confusion, maybe to get to the topic of this whole talents program this year, in the confusion that maybe those feelings create and arise, that's where we can find compassion for the monster within us, and maybe that's the compassion. I would say it's something that can be an actionable feeling for change as well, because if we're like, I think there's several stages of grief and anger and stuff that are very important, and processing those emotions through film helps us process emotions in general, and then be able to move forward and take action and not just stay in the fear. No, that would be my take.
Yeah, I mean, like take for example the Hanna's clip before. Yeah, it's the boy, the baby.
The baby, yeah.
Yeah, film is our baby. But we thought that we have some kind of projection of our own baby, but the baby itself is life. It has its own life. It can be very different with our, expectation. It can be very scary, like the clip. So we are dealing with something that we don't know, and I think it's a fragile situation that we have, but yet we are doing it. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's brave, no?